Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to RezRootz. I am Emmanuel, and I am sore as of right now because I don't even know what I did. But my gosh, walking to the studio today, I was just completely limping, and Josiah knows that for a sure fact, right, Josiah?
He was lagging behind. Normally we walk side by side together, and bro was limping.
Yeah, I did leg day just today. And so right now my legs are completely not in the game right now, but I am back here with Josiah once again to do a episode that is all about his ministry back in France. Isn't that right, Josiah?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Man,
It's been quite a while.
it's been a minute. I was like, oh my gosh, I should think about it. Yeah, it'll be a whole year from this summer. And it's been a long time coming to do this podcast.
Yeah. So we're finally glad that we're able to get the time and, just be able to talk about it now. I know it's been like almost a year, like you said, but hopefully there's still a lot in your memories to talk about it.
Yeah. Move some of the cobwebs.
Yeah. Well, I guess my first question is let's introduce yourself. Could you tell the audience who you are, like your tribe, and just any fun fact about yourself?
Okay, so hello, everyone watching, listening. My name is Josiah Butler. I am a senior here at IBC. I'm Navajo, and I'm from the Vanderwagen area, south of Gallup type of deal. And fun fact, there's this band called Flip Turn, and they are slowly becoming my favorite artist right now. So it's really cool.
If it wasn't for the shirt, I wouldn't have thought of otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
And you went to their concert recently, too.
I did. It was amazing. It was Shauna and Karen, two other students here at IBC. It was the most amazing experience.
Nice. Yeah, I know back at the house, like when you're cleaning or just chilling at the house, you will play it every single time.
I play it pretty loud.
Yeah.
I play it pretty loud.
But, no offense for me, nothing like that. I actually enjoy the music, so I really appreciate the sound effects in the back.
We're just jamming.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we're doing.
So talking about just with music and everything, what would you say was probably like a music that you heard out when you're out on your trip in ministry?
A lot of the music actually, it's a different culture shock because you'll go around here, like you'll hear music playing from speakers and everywhere, but over there they don't have a lot of, I would say, at least in Paris, there wasn't a lot of people playing on speakers or stuff like that, which is kind of the hustle and bustle of life. People walking on cobblestone, honking of horns, a lot of horn honking. There is, if you think aggressive driving here in America is bad, you shorten that and compact that with a lot of people in Paris. There's a lot of horns going beep, 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 mopeds, scooters, all that stuff.
So the traffic out there, is it to the point where everyone's just trying to get to their destination, or is there still stop signs and everything like that?
There is stop signs, and I think a lot of it are suggestions. It's like everyone's an aggressive driver.
Okay.
That's what so we rented a car in France, and Daniel was our main driver. And if you have a driver's license here, you can drive over there.
Oh, okay.
Because we actually drive on the same side of the road with most of the same rules and stuff.
Nice.
And Daniel is an aggressive driver. If you ever drive with him, just be prepared to clench your seat, clench anything around you. I was panicked sometimes in the car with him. He'd be like, turning now, and then we just
I just imagine your head just
Yeah, it was not just me who on the trip, also Robbie, and sometimes we look over each other and shoot, I think we almost died. We could have died. There could have been an accident. It's kind of whack.
Yeah, I totally forgot Robbie was with you. It was you, Robbie, Daniel, anybody else that came on the trip with you?
Yeah, so it was just the four of us. It was Daniel Esplin, Corinne Esplin, me, and this other guy named Robbie Little, who is a former graduate here at IBC, who does metalwork and jewelry stuff.
Oh, yeah. And then right now in this semester, he's teaching biblical communication with Clint Ross.
Oh, shoot. I didn't know. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so he's here on Wednesday and Friday mornings.
Wow.
Yeah.
An interesting fact, because it's been a year, he actually was able to talk to the organization over in France that does a bunch of the ministry.
Yeah.
And actually was able to sign on with them and is going to be going that way in the future.
Oh, okay. So is it short term or is it full time?
I think he's doing a full time.
Oh, nice. Wow. Do
He
you know when
enjoyed
it
it that much. I
starts?
have no idea.
Oh
I see
man.
him every now and then, but that's what he said. One of the updates he gave us is that it's called GEM. I think the organization's called.
Hmm.
And he signed with them and he was like, yeah, I want to do this over there
Mhm.
full time. So
All right. I hope I get my grammar right, but is there an acronym for GEM?
yeah, it is. I just can't remember what it was. Oh, Greater European Ministries. That's what it's called.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right. So in France, I guess my question is, so I don't really know much about your trip, even though it's been like almost a year now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be asking you questions, and this is maybe my
Perfect.
my
No, I
first
got you.
time learning about your trip too. So
Yeah.
don't worry, y'all. I'm with you guys on this.
Sorry.
So I guess my first question is like in France, is there like anything against religion such as Christianity and such?
So, okay. So that's a really good question. But to get a framework for everyone listening, there is France has been around for such a long time. So Christianity and religion kind of is, I wouldn't say like the main focus of the religion. When we were there, I did a lot of observing and a lot of listening and a lot of just talking with other people who spoke English. And a lot of what they said is that it's not like Christianity is absent, but other things of this world are pushed to the forefront. So that would be money, just the grind, status, culture, all those things kind of get pushed to the forefront. So all this secular stuff kind of takes over everything and religion gets pushed to the back. Especially after the Enlightenment era where like religion kind of took the back seat.
Hmm.
And, thinking and philosophy and, your own self desire to do what you want to do kind of took root and all those things. So, yeah, that's kind of the narrative. It's not like Christianity is removed, but Catholicism comes before that and then everything else. So it's definitely on the back burner.
And all right. So what would you say is like the number one like religion out there right now?
Religion? Probably Catholicism, I think.
Hmm.
I'm probably getting that wrong, but I think.
Yeah. And I apologize if I'm not really good with like international questions or anything of sort, because I'm not sure if it's like a religion or beliefs or anything like
Yeah,
that.
it's a mixed bag,
Okay.
definitely.
All right, gotcha. So I guess my next question is like, what brought you guys out to France in the first place?
So Daniel and Kareen, they've been doing this trip for many, many years. Kareen actually had prayed about going to France like 10, 12 years ago. And she was like, "Oh, we gotta do missions of some sort overseas, and we can't just be here. How are we gonna be a missions force if we don't have any connections anywhere?"
Hmm.
So she prayed about it deeply for a long time, and she was like, "Why does the Lord keep bringing me back to France?" Because she's a cook, I'm a cook. France is like the hub of cooking and all that, so it's really cool.
Yes.
So she was trying to fight against her own interests of like, why France? It's not an underdeveloped country. It's basically first world. Like, why would that be a place of ministry?
Hmm.
So they go, Daniel and Kareen, they go and they do a scouting trip in for their what is now called Natives to France. They had they just went to France, met up with some Christian leaders, some pastors, and all that. Try to make connection, but it was really hard for them. But then they found a specific group of people who realized that hey, we really love Native American culture. And that was their kind of door into the greater France population. Because I believe it or not, French people have a really big fascination with Native American culture. They watch the movies, if you think of any movie like Native American movie, they probably watched it.
Okay.
Or at least a lot of the people we talked to who
Oh,
were
man.
interested, they watched a lot of them. So like, oh, natives, that's so cool. And so they actually encountered a couple who they stayed at an Airbnb. I can't remember which part of France they stayed at. They stayed with them. The friends were like, "Hey, are you guys Christians?" And they were like, "Yeah." And then the wife of the Airbnb, or the wife was like, "Oh, that's cool. You're Christians." And she said, "By any chance, are you Native American?" And Daniel and Karina are like, "Yeah, why?" Her husband had this deep fascination with Native Americans and just like, she's like, "You got to meet my husband." So brought her husband in. They met up together and they just had this really deep desire to like know about Native American spirituality, culture, way of thinking, because they like the way of life apparently and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that was kind of their door. And Daniel and Karina are like, "Wow, this is so cool." because they were saying that in Paris, at least in Paris, that Christianity doesn't penetrate well
Okay.
because it already has everything. If you read in the book of Acts, Paul talks about how the places that already have philosophy, money, and wealth, and all your needs are met, Christianity doesn't penetrate too well because everyone has what they need.
Okay.
But Christianity penetrates well the places that have the most need, that have darkness, that have, these places that God is the only answer. But in Paris, it's the opposite. Everyone has an answer, everyone has a philosophy. So, how do we enter into that space? How do Christians, especially, enter into that space? And they said that because of our Native Americanness, I don't know how people would say it, a Native Americanness, they kind of opened the door to this realm of people's personal lives. People don't talk about their personal lives. You talk to them on the surface.
Okay.
People stay to themselves and all that. So when you say, "Oh, I'm Native American," that that shell, that people, that mask they put on, kind of comes off a little bit, and they're like, "What do you think about this? What do you think about that?" And then their heart starts to, you begin to see what's inside their heart. Just because you're Native American, and they start asking questions, and then you get to ask questions back, and then the heart of them starts to slowly open, and that's kind of how this all started.
Nice.
It's because of that connection and that incredible way God uses, who we are as Native Americans to penetrate other different cultures in other places. So yeah.
Okay, so now I'm curious. What was like one of the questions you remember they were asking you? Like, what do you think about this?
Okay, so I actually have a story. If you can, yeah, a story. We were not in Paris, but we had traveled from Paris down to this place called Bayonne, and Bayonne has a cathedral, very, very big cathedral. It's really nice, so nice. We walked in, and you're expecting, I don't know what you're expecting in a cathedral. It's really nice. It's cold. It was cold. It didn't feel like a church. It just felt like a holy place, if that makes sense.
Like sacred?
Yeah, but it was kind of cold. It wasn't really, it didn't have life to it. And so, the Spirit's kind of like working inside me and having me observe. We had walked into the cathedral, but when we walked into the cathedral, there was a homeless man sitting outside. And I forget his name, but he was asking us for money. But, we don't have, European currency at the time, so we just kind of walked by him. And we explored the cathedral a little bit, and the Spirit inside of me kind of convicted me. Because when I walked past him, I didn't see him as a person. I just chose to ignore him in my heart. I didn't choose to acknowledge the Imago Dei inside of him. So the Holy Spirit said, "Go back." I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to go back." We just walked past him. And I don't even know if I have the same language, if he knows English. And I was scared. And the Spirit's like, "No, go back." So he kind of pulled my heart back towards the door, and I walked outside, and I sat down with this man who also had a little dog with him. And I said, "Hello, je suis Josias." He had a little bit of English. I had a little bit of French. So we're kind of talking, but the Spirit was definitely over this conversation. I sat down with him, and he said, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, "Oh, yeah, America." He's like, "Oh, America." And I said, "Je suis Amerindian," which basically I'm Native American in French. And as soon as I said that, his eyes looked at me, but with a different tone. It's like he began to formulate a different, he was like trying to direct the conversation in a new way. He looked at me and said, "I don't know what's up there." And then the word for God is a Jew, Dieu or something. It's like Jew, something like that. He says, "I don't know what that is." And he pointed to the trees, and he pointed to the air, and he said, "What is it?" To me, I'm like, he just starts talking about this like, who is God and is he there? That's basically what he was saying. And I was like, what? Immediately after I told him I was American Indian. So I was like, oh my gosh, he's talking to me in this broken English, this broken French conversation. He's talking about what is God? Who's God? And I said, I said, I know him. I know God. And he's like, I don't know God. And he began talking, and he said, "I don't know God, and this is kind of why I'm here." homeless and all that. I said, well, I know God. And I said, and he loves you, in this weird conversation that we had. And I said, well, I know him. And then I can talk to him for you if you want. And he said, yes, please. And, prayed for him a little bit. And Spirit kind of convicted me to give him what I had. I don't have any currency, but our native, like not bandanas. You know what I'm talking about? It has a floral pattern on it, and there's like little gold stripes in it. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. I can show you.
Sadly, not, no.
But yeah, I had it wrapped around my waist because I didn't have a belt on me, and I gave it to him. And we had this really cool connection. But he immediately asked about spirituality, immediately asked by God, or about God, even though we were next to a cathedral. And apparently he wasn't allowed inside. So people walked past him every day. But they took someone who's a Christian, who was Native American, to sit down with him and for him to ask anything about God or spirituality or to any of that matter. So that was one of the coolest questions I was asked.
Wow.
Who is God, and do you know him? So that was one of the best questions I was asked.
Wow. Yeah, it seems like you really enlightened him and also just kind of showed him the way just a bit, even in that few amount of moments.
It was amazing. It was so quick. Couldn't make a great relationship, but I tried, and the Spirit just kind of guided that interaction. So it was amazing, really amazing. But yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm speechless. I'm not gonna lie, man. I think it's amazing that you did that with him, and I hope to this day, like, I know you forgot his name, but I'm also just can't help but want to say we're definitely should be praying for him, and I hope either the cathedral or someone else out there that possibly in the same line of Christianity could help him as well.
Definitely.
Wow. I guess the next question I got for you is, like, when they came to everything that you observed there, especially like what you said with the cathedral, like, was there any other experiences where you witnessed something and then you met other people just like that as well?
In that manner, I will say this: French believers are on a different level. It is amazing.
How so?
They pray with a different type of confidence, if that makes sense. So I didn't know what they were saying completely, but French Christians are not French Catholics, because the cathedrals are cathedrals and they are holy, and they're made to be this certain thing. But French Christians don't really have buildings, and if they do have buildings, it's not like a nice building. And actually, they have a little bit of persecution over there. That we were actually able to join this big gathering of French Christians from the Bayonne area, the greater Bayonne area. They had rented out this auditorium, but they had gone to like 5 or 6 other auditoriums, and they said, oh, what are you going to use this for? And they said, oh yeah, we're a bunch of Christians who are going to come together. And about 5 out of those 6 auditoriums rejected them and pushed them away, because they said they claimed Christianity. If they were Catholic, it would have been fine. But because they were Christians, they were pushed out of the way.
Oh, okay.
So there's this subtle persecution, I guess you could say, that Christians don't really have the main light. But yeah, French Christians are amazing. They, even despite like that, I guess you could say, persecution, they continue to gather and they continue to worship, and they love so much differently. I don't know if you guys know what they call it, the bees. They give you a hug and they go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking
about? Wait. My question is, do they actually kiss you on the cheeks, or do they just fake
No,
it?
it's kind of like just like it sounds weird. Cheek to cheek. They kind of just graze.
Okay.
They kind of just graze by you. Man, come here. Donate $5 and it'll be in the description. But there's a different type of intimacy that they have as believers. Like, you think everyone in your church would be able, you're in church, right? You shake their hand, but you would never hug them or you would, and even in a different world, you would never get so close to them where your cheeks would touch, like at all. That's not something you do.
Hmm.
So the unity and the kind of the bond of intimacy that they had as like an actual body of Christ was unbelievable.
Hmm.
French have this incredible way of hospitality. It's like ingrained in the culture. So they just get better at being, hospitable. So when they enter into your house, you're like, "Whoa, nice to meet you." And even if they don't know you and they know you're a Christian, they'll do the thing. It freaked me out the first time, and I got it wrong the first time.
Oh,
And they went in. It was this dude, and I went to go do it like I knew what I was doing, and we both went the same way. So we're like, yeah. I don't. Oh, man, I still remember it. It was so stupid. I felt so dumb, and they were like, "We'll show you how." But yeah, just unity, intimacy. They have that. Something that I think American Christianity doesn't really have. You shake hands, but you don't know the people who sit behind you. You don't know the people who sit in front of you.
Oh.
You could barely, I bet you could barely think of the people who sit all around you. You don't have a connection. But French believers, they do. They have this insane connection with each other because it's culture driven, hospitality driven, and they deeply love each other. And even in their prayer life, I was Google translating what they were saying, and some of them, it wasn't like, I guess, American praying, like, "Lord, give us this, give us this, give us this." But to them, it was like, "Lord, when you do this, help us to be ready."
Oh, man.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is amazing." It's such a different way of thinking as opposed to like American Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, "Lord, give us more, give us what we need." We have everything we need. These people know that they have a lot, and then they're actively putting their lives down and saying, "Lord, this is what we have. This is what you've given us. Prepare us for our next steps."
Wow.
So we can serve you better.
Hmm.
And it just rocked my world. It rocked my prayer life. It rocked my view of the church. It rocked everything I saw. I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is Jesus. That is the body." 6,000 miles away, I want a different Christianity that was the same but more potent, and it was just so more it was exotic, and it was real, and it was living, and it was like a true body. Like, there was so much life in it. Even though I didn't speak the language, and even though I was an outsider, I was grafted in like I had been there for years. That's how French believers are, and it's just, it's amazing.
My gosh, dude. Honestly, I'm over here feeling convicted because now that I think about it, at my church, like, I don't even think I know some of the people that sits around me. Sure, I see them every Sunday, but I'm just like, hey, that's it,
Yeah, and then nice to meet you, and then gone.
Now I'm just like, dang, with us, man, our church, especially here in America, especially for us, we're just so easy in the area where we just go to church because it's a Sunday.
Mhm.
It's just the thing to do. If you don't go to church on Sundays, it's okay. But just to know how relational they are, and they're actually living out the biblical truth of a church, of what it actually should be, not just a building, because you said they're kind of run down, right?
Well, they don't have like a traditional building like you would here.
Okay.
The people we were staying with, Bernard and Evangeline, they have this, I wouldn't say this old house, but it's like an old barn. It's like a repurposed barn.
Oh, man.
Their house was 3 stories, but it was like repurposed as a barn. And then the main place that you would have like all your stuff in, that they repurposed into like a worship center.
Wow.
So
that sounds amazing.
It was amazing.
I bet you took photos too.
I took so many dang photos. So I'll send some of that to you so you can see them on the screen. But
all right. Well, man, I'm just saying, like, with the idea that they're actually doing it way better than us right now, it speaks a lot about how, like what you said, it was a culture shock. We kind of have different point of view when it comes to our versions. I guess not our version, but just our view of Christianity. And honestly, I think, I don't know about you guys, but I am feeling inspired and encouraged to know that if they can do it, we can do it as well. And the way they're praying too, You gotta love how they're praying, dude. I love the fact that you got to witness that firsthand.
It was beautiful, and everyone prayed. It's like, like one person prays and you're done.
Hmm.
It's like when someone stopped praying, someone was just ready to speak, and they didn't pray for like long times. It was like a really condensed 3 minutes of just boom, 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 just truth, and
Ooh.
then the next person be just ready just to tear it apart, and then recycle it again, and then more truth, and like it was just, man, if I should have recorded all my Google Translate conversations because
Hmm.
it was beautiful
Oh
to
man,
see. But yeah.
man, that is beautiful, man. And honestly, I'm a bit jealous. I wish I could see that. I wish I was there to feel the just the enlighten of the flame, like the fire burning Holy Spirit, man.
Mm.
Because I bet you felt that, and I bet you wanted more of it.
Oh, I did. And if I spoke the language fluently, it probably would have like 10 times my experience now, but
Mm.
it was amazing.
Well, the Spirit has definitely worked in you in that place, man.
Indeed.
Dang. I guess now I'm just curious when it came to when you were talking about the cathedral being cold, is that what you meant? Like it was just spiritually dead? But then when you came over to that area, you were just like, wow. And the people and just being able to see and witness the words that they were saying.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. We went to this place after the fact, but as we were in Paris, there's greenery, there's life, there's a bit of trees and all that. But a lot of it is, roads, asphalt, cement, cobblestone, bunch
Mm.
of old buildings, which is really cool. If you like architecture, go there. But as you started to move away from Paris, the actual capital, you began to see more of the same that you see here in the US. Bunch of fields. Actually, if you go there, you'll see castles out in the distance sometimes.
Oh, nice.
It was an 8-hour drive from Paris all the way down to Bayonne. And we actually had, yeah, it was 8 hours. And people in Europe don't travel like Americans travel. 8 hours to them is like, oh my gosh, you traveled 8 hours. And other people are like, oh yeah, it's 8 hours. That's just like to there and back. It's like Denver and back type of deal. So they have a totally different view. And the tolls really expensive. That's a different topic. But yeah, when we were in the cathedrals, we were at Notre Dame, we were at Sacré-Cœur, there was no life.
Mm.
It was just tourist attraction. You could actually sign up on this like big old waiting list to actually attend one of their services, attend services or whatever. But there's no life in the church. It was a tourist attraction. They had all the saints, either in copper, silver, or gold, or you know, steel, and you could actually buy candles. I actually bought these coins. You could buy a lot of things in the cathedral,
Hmm.
and I was like, dang. Church is making money. I was like, dang, a lot of money being made here.
I'm just thinking about the Holy Temple being a marketplace, man.
That's just what it felt like. I was like, shoot, I'm about to start flipping some tables. Not going to
Just bring out the
father's
whip.
house. A den of thieves. It wasn't completely like that, but there was a bunch of tourists, and obviously, there's a really cool structure. Architecture is beautiful, but there was no life in it.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure even if you attended one of the services, it would feel holy, but there would be no life in it.
Hmm.
So, but going outside of Paris and into a local church, that's where the life was.
Wow.
It wasn't in the cathedrals. It wasn't in the cold cathedrals. It was in the warmness of a countryside house church.
Wow.
So,
Okay, so my question to you, I know here in our area of America and even on the Navajo Nation or any other tribes, when it comes to Catholic and Christianity, sometimes we're in that area where we're like, oh, it's just the same thing. It's the same God. It's the same whole premise. But out in France, they know the difference.
they do. They do. And that's kind of one of the things like, oh, don't group us in with them because we're Christians. As something I did notice is like they were trying to like, no, we're Christians.
Hmm.
And that was something that they claimed with actually passion and pride, which, man, in America, like, oh, you're a Christian? Yeah, I'm a Christian. Like, you talk to them, are you a Christian? Yes, I'm a Christian. It's like this different identity switch too. So,
Wow. Definitely a big difference of just yeah and yes. Man. Huh. Not gonna lie, dude. You're making me want to join this trip.
you should. And I will give you a couple reasons. Because we're Native American, we have an open door. Fascination breeds curiosity. Curiosity kind of opens up someone's heart. And a lot of the people we talked to, their testimonies were from drugs, or they were, living their own life for themselves. And then Christianity kind of got them by the heart. And there were people in their community, at least in the Bayonne community, that Bernard and Evangeline, they have this church, they run it. And it's not structured, but they run it because that's how they feel they should run it. They run it with their group of their team that's there.
Mhm.
And they run it in such a way that they invite people from the community, and then they disciple those people from the community. And they have a big house, so they could even stay there with them. But they were lacking members at the time we were coming, and they used us not as, it's kind of like an attraction, but like a conduit. If that makes more sense.
Explain conduit.
A conduit is like it's like oh, we have Native Americans, so you should come and listen to us, rather than like an attraction, because we wanted to make a relationship with them.
Oh, okay, I get
So
you.
not like an attraction where it's like one and done, walk off stage and never talk to anyone, but like a conduit, as like they were guiding us to us, and then we would be the attraction for them to make a relationship. Does that make sense?
Okay, yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Because
Instead of the whole evangelical where we just go out, preach the word, but never make a relationship.
Yeah, so their whole focus was, we're going to use you as an attraction. However, we're going to make a relationship with all the people who come. So yeah, you say, oh, Christianity, come. You put Native Americans talking about culture, more people come.
Oh, wow.
We were in the Bayonne area, and we were actually featured in the newspaper. Some journalists came.
Oh, wow.
And interviewed us. It was Daniel. He did a presentation on the string game, the Navajo string game.
Yeah.
And it wasn't wintertime, so.
Yeah.
However, that's what he did. And it didn't matter to the French people. But he did his string game. And then Corinne did her presentation of the Seneca people. Fireball is a big hit. And people are like, whoa. A lot of people ask questions like, is the fireball actually on fire? And yes, it's on fire. And they're like, do you have gloves? And like, no. And then I played the Native American flute. I explained why I do it and how I do it. And it was really fun. And Robbie did his jewelry making.
Nice.
And how he does it and where he sells it to. And I think he was actually able to make some profit over there.
Wow.
Because people wanted to buy the stuff he was making. So it was amazing.
No, and the fact that it's actually authentic and handmade by him.
Yep.
They know for sure. For people that goes to flea markets here on the local reservation, there's a lot of fake ones. The fact that it's all authentic is amazing, dude. And I can see how he's making a profit out there. And so now that I think about it, like, I don't know. I can't help but feel that some viewers or listeners might feel a little skeptic about the whole idea that you were an attraction.
Yeah. I wouldn't say attraction. We put on the mocks, we put on the velvet shirts, we put on our turquoise. I actually brought one of my grandma's turquoise that she gave to me before she passed away. These big chunks of turquoise, and people came up to me and like grabbed it and like, oh, can we look at it? I was like, yeah. And the people looked at it. But I wouldn't say like an attraction as like, the monkeys at the circus. More as in, oh, we don't have, there's nothing like that over there. They have their own native tribes. One of the tribes, actually, Bernard, which is Evangeline's wife, the people who we have a relationship with and spent, the 2 weeks with them.
Yeah.
He is Basque, which is a native tribe in France. So there's other different tribes in France. I didn't know that. And they actually have their own dialect and stuff like that. So, and they're really cool. He's one of them. I think he's full Basque or half. I can't remember, but yeah, he's really cool.
Oh, okay. So instead of like in the attraction area is more like just representing your culture.
Definitely. Representation. People are like, oh, natives, cool, let's go. And that was kind of seen by the reporters who came to come and interview us and hear what we had to say.
Wow. Do you know if that report is out there somewhere?
It is. I can actually send it to you and show you what that looks like later.
All right, that'll be cool. Because I'm pretty sure I'll add it to the bio. So if y'all are interested in checking it out, we'll definitely put it there for you.
You just gotta Google Translate. I don't think I got featured entirely because they were really curious about Robbie and Corinne's tribe.
Okay.
But yeah, it was really cool.
Nice. Well, Navajo and Seneca tribe being represented out there. That's awesome.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but along the topic of why you should go, like you were asking earlier, you know, you get to experience something new. You get to experience a different side of Christianity, and you really have to rely on the Spirit for a lot of things.
Mm.
You know, you go, it's comfortable here. For me, for us, you know, we go out, we can speak English to anyone you want to, but over there, different language, different culture, different people. How do you do ministry? How does the Holy Spirit work, and how does it guide you? Our first day there, we were experiencing a bunch of spiritual warfare.
Hmm.
Kareen and Daniel were like, "Oh my gosh, what's wrong?" For the past, 10 or 9 years they've been going, when we got into Paris, one of the first days, they were like, "Oh my gosh, I couldn't sleep." They're like, dreams. Robbie was having dreams. Kareen was having dreams, and I wasn't able to sleep actually at night. There was spiritual warfare going on, and we had wondered like why so prevalent, why so heavy.
Hmm.
Uh, the place we were going to in Bayonne, at their house, they said to us that a week before we got there, the neighbors were having some issues. And so they had flown a Navajo medicine man from the reservation to come fly into Bayonne that was next door to their house
Wow.
so he perform a ceremony. We didn't know that coming in. And we're like, oh, spiritual warfare. That's why.
Oh, wow.
So our ministry field was premeditated by, I guess you could say, the enemy.
Mm.
We weren't like the battle, like, oh, shoot, the enemy was here before we were. And it really put a different perspective into this trip. Because I, for one, when I think of mission trips, I think of third world countries, underdeveloped people, people who, I guess you could say in the American mindset, who really need it.
Mm.
But these people needed it just as much.
Mm.
Because when you have all your money and you have your culture that says do this and do that, and when you have, and you just live day to day without any purpose, your spiritual, every person, the soul of your person begins to crave more like purpose, ideology, philosophy.
Mm.
And so they begin to search. If you have all your needs met, the soul needs also to be met. And so they begin to go looking. And they thought, oh, Native Americans, they do healing. We're going to have them come. So it painted this perspective of, if Native American Christians don't go and say, Jesus is my God, then some other Native tribe is going to say, this is the way to God, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't go first, someone else is going to, and they're not going to proclaim Jesus.
Mm.
If we don't go, someone else is going to say, oh, buy my corn pollen, buy this from me, do this, and you'll have peace in your life.
Mm.
And they're going to listen because they're Native.
Mm-hmm.
So if us Natives don't also go and bring Jesus, they're going to accept everything everyone has to say if we don't go and bring a different light. So
it really goes down to the idea of us not being the mission field, but us being the mission senders.
Exactly. Being the missions force. Because you want to help. But we're helping in the spiritual component. We're bringing a different voice. We're bringing a different light than what they have been told or they've seen in movies or they've read in books. Christians who are natives who claim Jesus and say, this is the way that we choose to live. And that's just something that blew my mind away. Like, oh, if we don't go, someone else is going to, and they're going to get to them first. And if we don't go, someone else is, and they're going to lead them down this other path that we don't want them to go down. One of darkness and dependency, and honestly, a lot of darkness and just emptiness involved in all that. So,
wow. Dang, when you really put it into that perspective, it really has, like, time is really in our hands, and time is in the area where we can either allow it to just run by or we can take advantage of it, basically.
Mm.
Because, like you said, it's going to be them or us.
Yeah.
Hmm. Wow, that's something to think about. And I gotta say, I never seen that or thought of that in the first place, to be honest.
Because I thought, we had to raise $4,000 for this trip. I'm like, oh my gosh, am I just gonna go on vacation? I mean, the Olympics are happening. We're in Paris. This is a pretty cushioned missions trip. It was like when I was presenting my presentation to people for fundraising, it was really hard for me to say I'm gonna go do this, and people kind of looked at me a little weird, like, so you're gonna go on vacation in Paris and do a little bit of ministry? That's what it looked like. But now knowing the spiritual depth that it actually had
Mhm.
opened my eyes to, everywhere is spiritually dark.
Yeah.
Regardless of third world, second world, regardless of all those narratives, people who think that they have everything but don't have Jesus are still in mission field.
Yeah.
And sometimes it helps if someone else is speaking that looks different, who's from a different place, and that's the real meat of natives to France.
Then, man, yeah, it really brings out that what brings up to my head right now is that, when it comes to ministry, like you said, many people will just think about the third world country, but we just can't help but state the fact that ministry can even happen here in our own home, here on the reservation, here anywhere else. And just as much as they need it, we also need it. And the fact that not only are they in the area where they really do need it, and that we have, it's so cool to know, like, as us natives, we have that, like, access to open that door, to open their hearts, like you said, like, kind of opening up their shell just a bit. It's like, man, it's like, I'm guessing you would encourage the viewers and just everyone here at IBC to at least take this trip, huh?
Yeah, if you have the opportunity to go and to use how God created you as a doorway to another person's culture so you can impact their heart by just being who you are, definitely go.
Wow. Well, I'm speechless, man. I have no more questions for you. I think you really brought out everything of what you did on your ministry trip. Not a vacation, but a ministry trip. That was definitely fulfilling. And how long were you out there again?
We were there for about 2 weeks.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Man. All right. Well, within those 2 weeks, I got to ask one last question and then we'll end it there. I want to end it up on a fun note. So, what was possibly like your favorite food that you ate throughout the whole entire 2 weeks there?
Okay, so there's a common idea that when you go to France and you eat the food, it's gonna be like this most mind blowing thing. You like you're Remy and you eat the cheese and the strawberry, and then you're like, do. It is like that, but it's okay. So American food is good, but you'll every now and then you'll have a bad something, you'll have a bad this. But French food, everything is like a solid 7 or 10. It doesn't falter below that. Everything is good.
Nice.
Everything tastes great consistently. So yeah.
And if I recall correctly, you had a lot of croissants out there.
I had a bunch of croissants. I think I ate more. I think if I had to put an estimate, I probably ate more than 40 croissants.
Wow. I mean, you had it almost every morning, if I heard correctly.
Every morning, if there was a bakery nearby, we were there.
It's funny because when Josiah came back, he was like, these croissants here, they just don't match up.
The only disappointing part of the trip was coming back and ordering a chocolate croissant that cost $3 and it tasted like crap. That was the only disappointing part. That was the only disappointing part of the entire trip.
Well, I hope when you go back, it's not only just for the croissants, but being able to continue the God's work in his ministry. And honestly, man, I really appreciate you being on the show. And thank you so much for answering the questions and just giving us a whole in-depth about your trip, man. Thank you.
You're welcome. But also for anyone else who's listening, thank you for if you either prayed for me, if you supported me financially, or if you even thought of me going to France, or you saw a post and you thought of me. I want to thank you guys. Any supporters out there, like if you helped me, thank you so much. The Lord opened my eyes to a lot of things. He reshaped some of my worldviews and bolstered me on to a new perspective of mission. So I wanted to thank you guys for that. So yeah.
Wow. Well, that's all we got for you guys today. Thank you, Josiah, and once again, thank you to the support. And yeah, we hope you have a good day. Continue praying, and we love you. And yeah, anything else?
If you want a part 2, that was only like a fourth of everything I could say. So if we want to do this again, I'm down, because we also went to Spain.
Yeah,
and it was a whole different. So part 2 in the future, maybe,
part 2,
possibly.
Yeah.
Anyways.
If you guys want part 2, let us know down in the comments. But yeah, we're gonna cut it off there because I'm starting to ramble. So yeah, we'll see y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.